Greetings everyone, welcome back to 5 seconds after I pressed the stop recording button on the last video. You already saw this package that we got from Ted. Thank you, Ted, for sending me this thing. I really appreciate you continuing to let me check out stuff in your collection and other people in your collection. Other people letting other people check out your collection. Today we are going to check out the second thing in this case, which you've already seen the Gaboon last episode. Today is this beautiful green boy, the NRB Vortex V3. Now, this is actually some lore because most people who watch Blade Buys don't know me or my history. I used to own a Vortex way back in the day. I did a review on the Vortex way back in the day. But you know what happened? YouTube took it down for violating their community guidelines of child safety. Do you know what violated the child safety policy? A frame of Ty holding a camera. I can go into my YouTube studio and it will tell me this is the timestamp. That timestamp is Ty holding a camera. Ty was not a minor when we shot that video. Ty was a fully grown adult holding a camera. Even if it was a child holding a camera, what is the problem with that? Anyway, ranting aside, I used to own a Vortex. It was a Vortex 1.5, the 7075 model. And I was very excited for the V2, but I never got one because they never really went into production. The Vortex V2 and the Nemesis V2 are NRB products that just never really got their chance to shine because he did a prototype run of them, and I don't think like any other runs of them before going on to the V3. So I never got the chance to try the improvements that he made to the V2, and now the V3 is like completely different. He's changed the texturing so that it's more like the ultralight. The blade is different, although that's from the V2. I believe he added these like fake speed channel things. And honestly, 7075, this thing retails for $150, $125 if you want a blemished one, which that is a great deal. NRB's always kind of done, hey, I outsource my production, but you guys get the savings from that because the original Vortex V1.5 was like $115, I think it retailed for, which back in the day for a 7075 aluminum balisong was insane. I think I got mine for like $90 secondhand, which was just crazy. And now we have this, which competes, right alongside the Prisma Pro, but for $30 cheaper. Now, granted, you're not going to get that crazy slick machine-wise tune, but this is a pretty good tune. Granted, my only other experience with NRB tuning is this prototype, which he said there was a problem with how they milled the channels, which made the tolerances worse. But this thing, even after being modded by Solaire specifically, tuned by Solaire specifically to reduce and play, still has a ton of play. I wonder, actually. Yeah, we got tap on that thing, which I guarantee you is because the screws aren't properly tightened. So I'm not blaming anyone there, but the tunes have gotten way, way better. No tap or of any kind on this one, and this green is beautiful. This is the closest thing that still exists to the glider green that they discontinued. It's a bit more yellow. It's not as green as I like, because the Arctic green is probably my favorite green in the entire community, like hands down. Actually, no, I'm sorry. Second favorite. My first favorite is that Venom green that's like, it's green, but then it's like pearlescent blue at the same time. I know the Madco was like that. They had the green Madco, which if you looked at it at certain points, it was like dark blue, but then it was also green. That's beautiful, and I really want a balisong that looks like that. Maybe the Superfly? I might send out the Superfly soon to actually get modded. Something like that. We'll see. But I want to flip this thing really badly. This is a really nice budget trainer. One thing that he changed was NRB always had this really pinchy Zen nipple right here, which just, when I was trying to learn scissors on this thing, just killed me. Even right now, you can see my skin is pinched inside that nipple. So now it's way, way better. That is, I don't expect that to be a problem at all, but we'll see. Let's flip this thing. What? So I believe one of the changes, and I'm just kind of going off the top of my head. I don't remember if this is true or not, but I believe one of the changes that NRB mentioned he made to the Vortex V2 was that he made it slightly more handle biased. The original Vortex V1 and 1.5 had, I would almost describe a tiny bit of blade bias to them. They took a little bit to get used to when you first started flipping them. And this is definitely the same, but this, it feels like the handles are lighter than they used to be. Now, granted, it has been, gosh, over a year since I've flipped a Vortex V1.5. I don't think you guys ever even saw... Did you guys ever even see the Vortex 1.5 on this channel? I don't think I had my Vortex by the time we started Blade Bias, or at least by the time we started uploading consistently. Has it ever showed up? That's a good question. Maybe you should go back in this channel's history and just check the thumbnails to see if I've ever flipped the Vortex 1.5 in a video. But this... Again, it's been a while, so I can't exactly say this with full confidence, but it feels like the handles are lighter? I don't know. The handles are carrying less momentum than I remember my Vortex carrying. And granted, I was a way less experienced flipper back then, so I could just be talking out of my ass, but... Strange. Anyway, how does it flip? It's very light. The handles aren't carrying much momentum, and the chaplain... Why is this such a trend lately? Why? Why is this such a trend with me lately? It's always those freaking pointed Zen cups that make the chaplain just feel really bad. This one doesn't feel awful. This one is definitely the best out of the three recently. That being the Nibali's Wing, the Superfly, which was fixed, and the Vortex. I would say this is the best one of them, not counting the fix that BB Barfly made to the Superfly. But it's still uncomfortable, and I'm dropping this thing. But I'm dropping this thing as much as I used to drop my Vortex V1 when I got it. The Vortex V1.5, in case you didn't know, is literally just 7075. There were no design changes or anything. I believe it was because NRB like accidentally ordered them in the wrong spec or something, and then it just kind of became a part of the Vortex. Not as grippy as I was imagining with this texture. This texture is far more subtle than I imagined it would. You have like this diamond pattern, which looks really aggressive. It's not as aggressive. It's not bad. Like the grip here is not bad at all, in my opinion. But it's certainly not as grippy as I was expecting, given that knurling. I lost the 0G Chaplain, or Ariel the 0G Chaplain, man. I used to be able to do it really well. Gosh, I don't know. I don't know if I'm enjoying this as much as I thought I was going to. It flips good. Like, it fans really well. It chaplains well. It choker fans well. All of that, especially because it's got these kind of rounded faces. It's kind of like a toned down Prisma Pro in terms of like how it's rounded, which, you know, I love my round faces. But I think this thing needs oil, actually, first of all. Definitely, usually I don't like to oil things before I know what they usually use in it, but this thing just sounds dry and like it is dying. So we're going to do that really quickly. Get some carbon honey in there. I like to blow softly to get the oil really worked in there. There you go. You can hear that sound coming back. There's that sound I know the Vortex for. The Vortex has always been one of those really bouncy, but also nice sounding aluminum balisongs. There it is. There's the sound I remember and love so much. Man, my Vortex V1, it's taken me back, because my Vortex V1 was genuinely probably one of my favorite sounding balisongs. I remember it was the first Balisong I ever put my nice oil into. And I mean nice literally, like, because it's called nice, but this was the first good Balisong oil I had. The other stuff that I had was just like the hops number 9 from the Squid Industries maintenance pack. And oh my gosh, that thing sounded incredible with some Canto Group in it. And this thing feels way better now too, actually. This thing desperately needed some oil. There's that bouncy sound we know from the Vortex. One more sound test right here. Oh my gosh. That thing needed oil so badly. Holy cow. All right, so flipping. It feels far smoother now that I've actually oiled it. Gee, imagine that. You lubricate the surfaces and they work better. It actually feels a little bit better to flip even. I don't know. I'm someone who can, if a Balisong isn't properly oiled and then I oil it, it can just feel like that 2 or 3% better. I don't know if anyone else is like that, but I certainly am. I know my Nemesis. If I flip my Nemesis dry, I have a completely different opinion on it than if I flip my Nemesis with oil. Love the Vortex. It feels fine. I wouldn't say this is anything like spectacular for my flipping, but it feels good. The handles don't carry enough momentum for me to quite say it fits my preferences. I usually prefer tip weight and end weight, so that both parts of the Balisong carry momentum. I'm not really feeling either of that on this, to be completely honest. Not a ton of tip weight, not a ton of end weight, but it is balanced, so it's not like it's unbalanced. It just feels very light and empty. It feels hollow almost, like the handles are made of air or something like that. But it flips good. It does everything you would want it to. Rollovers, chaplains, choker fans, all of that. The jimping is pretty standard for an aluminum Balisong, I would say. It's not the grippiest, but it's also like not as slippery as you would really expect. I don't really know how people carry the momentum on the Infinity Ladder. I know you can do a thumb variant of it, which a lot of people have told me to, but I'm stubborn. This thing just gets better as the oil works in. Holy cow. I do like how it flips. It's a very light, agile flipper. I'm just having a few problems with the comfort of the chaplain and just with the handles not carrying as much of momentum as I'm used to, which is causing me to mess up a lot of my normal tricks. Quite a bit, actually. Oh my gosh. But this is how the Vortex was. If I did an unboxing video on my Vortex when I first unboxed it, I would have concluded that I didn't like it, and then it became one of my favorites in my collection at the time. I sold it on because the Prisma ended up surpassing it and providing a very similar flipping experience for just, I think, a better overall build, despite it being a lower grade aluminum. So basically my collection back in the day, I used to operate, before I had, like, you know, people sending me stuff, I used to operate on everything in my collection has to be unique in some way, like flip differently. And the Vortex and the Prisma were too similar, and I ultimately decided on the Prisma. So it's not that I dislike the Vortex or anything. It just kind of got outclassed. This Vortex could really grow on me as I continue to flip it over a week. I would stay tuned for the I spent a week with the Vortex V3 video. But right now, I'm putting like a cautious, I like it, but I would pick something else in the price range. Like, I don't know, I'm looking over here at my wing, which is like the same price. And immediately, okay, besides that, immediately this just feels more comfortable. Not comfortable in the sense of like, it feels better. It's just more comfortable and like, I can flip this thing more confidently. Because there's, you know, a lot of weight that I can feel being thrown around. For someone who likes for someone who likes light Balisongs, I do like when there is weight that I can feel being thrown around. Like the Kuno is a great example. The Kuno's 3.2 ounces, but it has so much of that weight focused in the end of the handles, you can really feel that weight being thrown around. This is a very, I would call it an evenly distributed balisong. I'm not really feeling any weight hotspots or anything like that. So yeah, it's enjoyable. It is, especially for the price it's at. I think this is a pretty okay deal. I know the Prisma you can get for a lot cheaper nowadays, but I won't hold that against it because, you know, NRB works at Machine Wise now, so it's kind of useless comparing the two because they're kind of the same entity at this point. But Vortex V3, enjoying it. We'll have to spend a little bit more time with it before I fully develop my opinions on it. It does flip good. I can feel myself enjoying it more and more as I get used to it. But I can't get used to it all day. You guys got to go do something else at some point. I hope I didn't ramble for 15 minutes again, but we'll see. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you. And I'll see you in the next one. By the way, there's 2 people on this channel. I don't have tattoos. It's different guy. Okay? Different guy. Goodbye.